The standard approach to installing a drain field is hard to miss. It usually involves massive excavators, expansive trenches, and ripping up a perfectly good yard to bury tons of pipe and stone. But traditional beds rely almost entirely on bottom area absorption. When gravity pushes effluent through these wide, stone-filled trenches, the liquid naturally flows to the lowest or closest sections first. This creates creeping failure, where the front of the trench clogs with a thick biomat long before the liquid ever reaches the far end. To make matters worse, the installation process accelerates the damage. The heavy equipment required to dig those wide trenches actually smears and compacts the dirt at the bottom, destroying the soil's natural capacity to absorb water before the system is even turned on. By relying on gravity to distribute the effluent and depending entirely on the easily compacted trench bottom to absorb it, these traditional setups engineer their own demise. Researchers have actually known since the 1960s that the bottom of a trench is the weakest link in wastewater dispersal. This university diagram highlights the alternative. The arrow labeled QS shows how wastewater can bypass the clogged bottom layer entirely and move laterally into the trench walls. Maximizing this sidewall infiltration provides a crucial safety factor and superior biological treatment. This lateral movement is made possible by a physical property of the soil, capillary action. Unlike gravity, which only pulls straight down, capillary action forcefully draws moisture outward and upward, pulling water through dry soil like a sponge. While engineers understood the science, they lacked a practical, scalable product that could actually facilitate narrow trench, sidewall-based dispersal in the field. To fix wastewater dispersal, the hardware finally had to catch up to the physics. Installers needed a system designed exclusively to leverage the vertical walls of the trench, rather than fighting the bottom. That hardware is Verti-Grid. It's a modular PVC dispersal panel engineered specifically to facilitate lateral and vertical sidewall absorption. This technical schematic reveals the internal mechanics. A dual-layered system of intersecting grids and cells physically forces the effluent to spread out longitudinally, keeping the surrounding geotextile fabric evenly wet so the soil can pull the moisture away. Because of this slim profile, the modules drop directly into 4 to 6 inch narrow trenches cut by standard, small-scale trenching equipment. That completely eliminates the need for massive excavation and tons of expensive stone. Verti-Grid also abandons the flawed gravity-fed approach. Instead, it relies on low-pressure dosing, using a pump to pressurize the entire dispersal network simultaneously. Looking at this top-down vector diagram, you can see how LPD ensures every square foot of the dispersal field receives the exact same dose of effluent. This uniform distribution eliminates localized overloading, stopping creeping failure in its tracks. The system also replaces demand dosing with time dosing. By breaking the flow into scheduled microdoses, the soil is guaranteed dedicated resting periods to drain, breathe, and process the wastewater. Narrow trench capillary action, uniform pressure distribution, and strictly scheduled time dosing work together to create an unsaturated aerobic environment that keeps the soil healthy. For an installer, swapping massive excavators and dump trucks full of gravel for a simple walk-behind trencher drastically reduces the physical footprint and disturbance on a job site. This low-impact installation allows for jobs on legacy properties or tight access lots where traditional heavy machinery simply can't maneuver. And because the system is pressurized and autonomous at the module level, this layout schematic illustrates how the laterals don't even need to be perfectly level. They can easily follow the natural elevation contours of the land. This makes Verti-Grid an ideal solution for sensitive, high-value locations, like steep lakefront properties, where strict soil constraints and a lack of space make traditional drain fields impossible to build. For on-site professionals, this introduces a transition from the set-it-and-forget-it gravity trap to a system built for long-term, professional maintenance. Verti-Grid includes lateral flush assemblies at the end of every line. This allows professionals to perform simple, routine maintenance, creating an ongoing revenue stream while ensuring decades of reliability for the homeowner. Verti-Grid takes decades of proven sidewall science and packages it into an easy-to-install, maintainable solution that breaks the cycle of engineered failure. To explore design specs and manufacturer support, professionals can connect directly with Better Dispersal Systems LLC.